I wanted to leave some time for questions, so I wanted to close with the story of a time that Ed and I actually fought censorship and won. It was over one word, and it's a word that today I feel very comfortable uttering it in the community library and to the audience, no matter what their age. That word was hell. Hell, H-E-L-L, hell. So I mentioned enjoying working on shows like Love American Style and That Girl, and I can add to that the show that Gary created that only lasted a season, and the one where this issue arose, The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. The stars, Hope Lang and Edward Mulhare, were fantastic. Everyone behind this camera was a joy, and they were on our side on this argument. So with the help of a few clips, I can illustrate how important it was that we retained the right to use the word hell.
Good evening, Miss Grover.
Mrs. Muir, come in, come in. Let me take your coat.
Thank you. You have a lovely home.
Yes, I think of it as the hearthstone of our historical society.
Oh, you have quite a turnout for the meeting.
Well, this is the most important thing the society has ever done. And we're so pleased to have you writing about it.
Well, I was very flattered.
Naturally. Oh, Horace. Horace, we need more watercress sandwiches. Would you take care of it, please? Put that down.
There was a time, long since gone, when a man who had a sextant and a compass could go anywhere in the world. Provided, of course, he also had a ship.
Captain, can anyone see you?
Only you have that pleasure, dear lady.
Then why are you here?
For the same reason that this unlikely crew is here. To honor... No one can hear me except you. To honor Schooner Bay's most illustrious forefather. And we all know who that was. Or is.
People, meeting's been called to order. We are here to announce the name of that person who has been selected by our committee as the most outstanding figure in the history of Schooner Bay.
The committee? Elvira, I thought the whole membership was going to vote on that. Democratically.
The committee was selected democratically by me. Our professional artist, Mr. Wyatt Andrews, has brought along a model of the statue, which will be erected to this hero in the town square. And our professional writer, Mrs. Carolyn Muir, will write the official history of our hero for the society. And this article will be placed in a national magazine. If we can get one to put it in. The gentleman we have selected for this honor was, fittingly, a sea captain. He was extremely distinguished and colorful, and a hero of the famous naval battle of Vera Cruz during the Mexican War. And now, without further ado, as Mr. Andrews unveils his model, I will announce the name of our heroic ancestor, Captain Horatio Figg. Mrs. Muir.
Yes? All right, Captain Gregg, I know you're here.
Our perception is improving.
But my temper isn't. I have never been so embarrassed in my life. You made a spectacle of yourself.
Dear lady, it is impossible for a spectre to be a spectacle.
All right, you made a spectacle of me.
Well, perhaps I did act a little rashly. But must you make a tempest out of a teapot?
You acted like an ill-tempered hothead.
I was perfectly cool. I merely threw the blasted teapot at the blasted statue of that blasted fool.
Is it possible that you're also jealous because they didn't pick you?
That was their first mistake. But their greatest error was in paying homage to that total incompetent.
The man was a hero.
He was the biggest coward I have ever known. They even had to Shanghai him to put him aboard his own ship. And then he was seasick.
And what about the Battle of Veracruz?
He wasn't even at the Battle of Veracruz. And when he heard we were going to war, he ordered us to put him off halfway there. It's the only time in naval history that a captain has mutinied against his own crew.
Why does everybody think he's a hero?
For the same reason that everyone thinks Washington actually chopped down a cherry tree.
That is just a charming legend.
It is history distorted, and so is this.
Well, then if you're right...
Of course I'm right.
All right, you're right. But if you are right, then Schooner Bay's making a big mistake.
Right. And as a professional writer, you must expose this fraud.
I don't have any proof. I'd have to have concrete evidence.
You have an eyewitness?
Of course. I'll just run down to the Historical Society and tell them to call the whole thing off, because somebody who died 100 years ago told me Fig was a phony.
There's bound to be something. Some old documents or yellowed newspaper clippings or something.
Where?
Well, don't ask me. You're the reporter.
Okay. You notice it was quite all right for him to say blasted this, blasted that, and we had all sorts of clever ways for him to be cursing like a sailor without cursing like a sailor. But Mrs. Muir discovers that the head of the Historical Society is a descendant of Captain Fig and the custodian of his effects. And there's, by the way, they did beautiful casting of this show. There's a large painting of him that she has at her home where there's a motto written on the frame, "When duty called, he did not hesitate." So she can't find any reason to disbelieve what she knows. But meanwhile, Captain Gregg is insisting that he deserted and he actually came back home and died there. So he's been busy as work, as you can see.
Who lives here?
No one now. It used to be the Fig home. But the family moved into town 75 years ago.
And you say Fig is buried here?
Yes, right over there.
Fido? Oh, come on, Captain. This is... Captain Gregg? Captain Gregg, where are you? Captain? Captain Gregg, you startled me. For a minute, I thought you were a... Never mind. Captain Gregg, if this is your idea of a joke, I don't think it's very funny. There's nothing buried here but cats and dogs.
And one rat. And there is his tombstone.
It is here. Captain, I don't know what to say.
Well, an apology might be fitting.
I do apologize. This proves he didn't die at sea.
Not only that, but they considered him so low, they stowed him away among the animals.
That's rather sad, isn't it?
Yes, sad for the cats and dogs that had to be buried next to him.
Always sad when a legend is destroyed. There's something else written here.
Don't read it. It's probably obscene.
It's an epitaph. When duty called, he did not hesitate.
What?
That's the same phrase that was on his portrait. Do you know what that means?
Yes, that Fig carved his own tombstone.
Well, Captain, why don't you give up? Even if he didn't die at sea, this proves he obviously was buried as a hero.
What, out here?
Well, why not? It's his home.
Oh, what is the world coming to that it can glorify a man who is a sot, a coward, and a poltroon?
Captain, if you can't act like an adult, you can at least have a little respect for the dead.
Mrs. Muir, I'm delighted with your discovery. Imagine, Captain Fig's very grave.
Of course, it does upset the theory that he died at sea.
Not really. Evidently, he was brought back to be laid to rest among his loved ones.
Fido?
This is an important contribution to the town heritage. And I must apologize to you, Mrs. Muir, for the little suspicions I've had about you.
Oh, that's quite all right. I didn't...
That's odd. The sun is still shining, and it doesn't seem to be raining anywhere but here.
We seem to have our own special dark cloud.
It stopped.
Oh, I was sure it would, just as soon as we all got soaked. Oh.
Miss Grover.
What is it? What happened?
I think Madam Chairman should see this with her very own eyes.
Miss Grover, the epitaph.
Look, but the storm's cleared away. There's another line there.
When duty called, he did not hesitate. He ran like hell.
So you see, when you're writing a joke, everything depends on using the right word. And by the way, the title of that episode is another pun, Hero Today, Gone Tomorrow. Thank you very much.